What is going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Mike Roach Podcast, where I talk to you about sports, culture, politics, and everything that's on the world stage right now. And I wanted to bring this episode to you a bit earlier, but wasn't feeling the greatest this week. Still not 100%. So if you see me or I'm hitting the mute button for a second, I probably got a cough or sneeze or something, but I am feeling much better. So, with that being said, there are some very important things that we got to speak about this week. And so we're just going to jump straight into that. But before we do, if you're enjoying the content, please make sure you follow, like, subscribe, share, and rate the Mike Roach Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Mike Roach7, on X at Mike Roach23, and on TikTok, the one Mike Roach, the number one Mike Roach. And make sure to check out all the recent videos that I've uploaded to the channel. Plenty of content out there that I don't want you to miss. You could also find me on Apple Podcast and on Spotify, folks. Okay. So with that out the way, a few things I want to talk to you. Donald Trump, once again, talking about Canada becoming the 51st state. He's just not going to let that thing go. And I've mentioned to you before multiple times that he is really hell-bent on this. Like, people think this is an actual joke. This is not a joke, people. And he is serious about this. He is. I'm telling you, we're going to discuss. Pierre Poilievre only talking about two different genders. I'm shocked. I am shocked. We'll get into that, by the way, as well. Crime in Canada completely out of control. We'll discuss that. And the Toronto Raptors, dare I say, not sticking to the plan. What the hell is going on? Let's just jump straight into this thing. And folks, because I mentioned to you before, I'm not feeling the greatest. I don't want to be yelling that much or talking very loud because it's just going to get me riled up. I'm going to be coughing and choking. I can't be doing that, okay? As you can see there, just had to mute myself out. But let's get into this. Unless I get really, really ticked off, then I might just start coughing, yelling all over the damn place. I don't care. I'm going to start yelling. You already knows how it goes. I get pissed off at times. Hopefully it doesn't get there today, but there's no guarantee. The first thing I want to discuss to you is Donald Trump once again talks about Canada becoming the 51st state. And you know what's funny about this? Like, the reason he continues to do this is because Canada is in a vulnerable position right now. We're an absolute mess. Let's just call it what it is. We're an absolute mess. The prime minister just resigned. There's no functioning government at this point. The dollar is an absolute joke. There's a whole bunch of fighting from within. It's a disaster. And he knows that. And he's taking advantage of that. But I'm going to play to you a clip on what he keeps going on about in regards to subsidizing Canada, okay? Because he keeps bringing up this point. Is a part of it true? Yes, I'm sure, to a certain degree, but it's really not that simple. It's a little bit more complicated. So let me start off by sharing this with you, okay?
Dollars a year with Canada. That's because we allow them to make cars. We allow them to take lumber. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their food products because we make the same products right on the other side of the border. It's sort of crazy. So we've just allowed that, bad management has allowed it over the last 4 years in particular to become very imbalanced. And I call him Governor Trudeau, but he's Prime Minister Trudeau when he was Prime Minister. I asked him, why would we do that? Why? And he was unable to give me an answer. He said, I don't know.
Now, the thing that's concerning about that part is if Justin Trudeau actually says he doesn't know, I mean, that is just complete incompetence. And Trump has said that multiple times, by the way, and I haven't heard Justin Trudeau refute that. Let's continue.
And I said, do you think it's fair that we're paying $200 billion to keep Canada going? And what would happen? I asked him, what would happen if we didn't do that, if we didn't subsidize Canada? He said, we'd be a failed nation. And I said, then you should be a state. Because why are we paying all of that money to Canada when, we could use it ourselves, right? So we take care of their military. We're going to order about 40 Coast Guard big icebreakers, big ones. And all of a sudden, Canada wants a piece of the deal. They say, why are we doing that? I mean, I like doing that if they're a state, but I don't like doing that if they're a nation. Also, they've been very nasty to us on trade. Historically, Canada has been very, very bad to us, very unfair to us on trade. So we'll see how it all works out. I would love to see Canada be the 51st state. The Canadian citizens, if that happened, would get a very big tax cut, tremendous tax cut, because they're very highly taxed. And you wouldn't have to worry about military. You wouldn't have to worry about many of the things. You'd have better health coverage. You'd have much, like with Canada.
Okay, so first of all the health coverage and all that kind of stuff there, don't put any belief into that whatsoever. That is just ridiculous. But I'll say this. He did mention about $200 billion in trade deficits, right? Now, I don't know what time frame he is looking at that. Now, maybe if you add it up over many years. But let me share my screen with you here. Okay, now this is a US government website. And as you can see, 2024, $55 billion deficit, which is true. And one thing he does have to realize is the US, which I'm sure obviously a lot of people know this, most of their oil is coming from Canada. Now, he says he doesn't need Canada's oil, which they actually get below market value. Doesn't need their lumber, doesn't need all that kind of stuff. Well, okay, no, you don't necessarily have to get it from Canada, but then you're going to go to Mexico, you're going to go to Venezuela, and I'm sure the relationships that you have with them are not going to be as good as the relationship you already have with Canada. And you've been getting your oil from Canada for a pretty damn long time at this point. So he's going to put these tariffs on. He said February 1st. I believe he's going to do it. Now, many people are just saying it's a bargaining chip. Now, what is the reason for the tariffs in the first place? He mentioned that, excuse me. He mentioned that the reason he was putting the tariffs on is because Canada hasn't been taking care of the border and that illegal immigrants have been going through the border. And many of them are on the terror watch list, approximately 350 they found going into the US that are on the terror watch list. Also, there's a lot of fentanyl coming through the border through Canada. And those are the reasons that he gave. Now, are those reasons legitimate? I would say probably. But compared to what is going on at the Mexican border, I mean, it's a much smaller problem in regards to the fentanyl, I would assume, at least. In regards to the people on the terror watch list, that's an issue. That's a major, major problem. And so I understand that. And some people may not think that's a big deal. It's a pretty damn big deal. Considering the amount of people that we have going into the US illegally is much lower than what is happening at the Mexican border, then look at the rate of people that have not been vetted at all coming into Canada and then going into the US. So there is legitimacy there. That is a major, major problem. But these tariffs, if he puts those on February 1st and they start going elsewhere, like he mentioned, for their oil, that is going to cripple the industry in Alberta. And so I don't know what the hell is going to happen. I'm just going to have to wait and see. And to be completely honest, I don't want to be one of those people who tries to tell you that I know what the answer is. I really don't, because you don't want to get into a trade war. We don't want to get into a trade war because, I mean, you end up taking the L with that, and ladies and gentlemen, you're going to lose a lot. And I mean a lot of jobs in this country. They're assuming 500 to 600,000 jobs, which would be double of the unemployment rate that we have right now. So that would be a massive factor. So one thing that Pierre Poilievre has said many times, the amount of oil that we have, energy, why are we so dependent on the USA when the rest of the world is looking for these resources and is looking to purchase it from Canada, and we're not selling it to them? You can make a ton of money doing that, and they're not doing it. And this is what Pierre Poilievre is talking about. So now when somebody like Trump is in office and he's doing something like this and he has you by the you know what, you're in a bit of a problem now. There's trouble for you. You got to stop being so reliant on the US, and you got to open up your product to the rest of the world. You have to. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen come February 1st, but it's going to be interesting. It really is. I mean, Donald Trump, this dude is, I can't even blame the guy because Canada's in such a mess at this point. I really can't. It ain't, and listen, let's just be, once again, Trudeau.
It's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to, you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
It's a nasty situation. I'll tell you that much. Okay. But moving on, folks, you know, Pierre Poilievre, I saw him, I think it was on CP24. I'm actually going to play a bit of the video here. Was asked a question. I'm just going to let you watch and then I'll talk about it after. How about I just do that? Let's do that. Let's go to back to X. See what we got here. Where is it? Here we go.
Order, the U.S. government only recognizing two genders, male, female. They're unchangeable. If elected as prime minister, is that something that you're going to kind of walk in line with, or what are your feelings on that executive order?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other genders that you'd like to name?
Me personally?
Yes.
I'm just asking more so if you're in line with what he is saying. Do you agree with what he's saying? Is that something that you would be lockstep with if elected as prime minister?
Well, I'm not aware of any other genders than men and women. I mean, if you have any other that you want me to consider, you're welcome to tell me right now.
First of all, doesn't anybody find this a weird question to, anyway, let's just keep going.
Personally, I am a man.
Okay.
People say cis man. There are people there who, they say they're
Me too.
gender
I'm a man.
neutral.
Well,
you are a man. Yes. There are people there who say they're gender neutral. Yeah. They say they're gender neutral. They're a trans person. Is that something that you would recognize here? Whereas in the States, at least with their U.S. government, the way they're seeing it, there's only two.
I'm only aware of two, but I mean, if you come up with another list, then you're welcome to do that. But I'm aware of two. And as far as I'm concerned, we should have a government that just minds its own damn business and leaves people alone.
Okay. First of all, I just spoke to you about Donald Trump and tariffs. Okay. Just spoke to you about Donald Trump and tariffs. Threatening a 25% tariff on February 1st. We don't have a functioning government. The country is a mess. But we're here asking questions about gender. Really? This is absolutely ridiculous to me. And there was actually a longer clip where Pierre Poilievre talks about that. Like, seriously, out of all the things that are going on right now, if you guys go and Google this, YouTube or go on X or something, he actually talks about why the hell are we talking about this right now with the amount of serious things that are currently plaguing us and that are going on right now. Why are we talking about this? But this is Canada for you. This is Canada for you. And what's funny about that is I saw one of the Liberal MPs, okay, Marcy Ian, who I don't know much about, but at the same time, Marcy Ian puts this out. Let me share my screen. Can you guys see it? No. Let me show you this. When people show you who they are. So she's showing you this picture. Trump moves to make two genders an anti-DEI policy official, and then ends up showing you this. Poilievre echoes Trump's order claiming only two genders. Yeah. So when people show you who they really are. So somehow, because you only believe now that there are two genders, which the large majority of the world only believes there's two genders because that's all we've seen. That makes you a bad person at this point. This, folks, is what is going to kill the liberals. When people show you who they really are, what does that say about the majority of people? Because that's what the majority of people believe and agree with. So is she talking about all those people as well? Maybe you should ask yourself that. But the one thing about Pierre Poilievre, like, I think if you're going to act like that and say, do you know any other two? You might as well just answer the question yes or no. Seriously. Just stand on it like Trump did if you're going to do that. Do you know any other genders? If you ask you a question, no. Yes. I'm going to echo the same thing. Don't play any games. If that's what you believe, then just stand on that. Period. But all of this stuff is quite crazy. And I find it that if you don't piggyback on believing there are 80 different genders, it makes you a bad, cruel person in this world. My only thing is this. If you believe that you can identify as, I don't know, Peppa Pig, if you want to identify as Bartley the Bull, I saw a documentary where kids, I'll say teenagers, were identifying as a wolf, identifying as a dog, as a cat. Like, this is crazy. Non-binary, this, that, and the other. Okay. The thing is, where does it end? Like, where does it end? Is an adult at some point going to be able to identify as a child? Because that's where it's going to go to. That's where it's going to go to. And then when that 25-year-old identifies as a child and wants to have a relationship with a child, then what? Sorry, folks, I'm hanging in there. But it's like, seriously, it's like, where does it end at this point? I just don't know, man. Those are all questions that we got to ask, because it's just getting crazy out here. And to me, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, just in my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just saying. But I find a lot of people are too scared to even talk about this, because we're not allowed to just listen to people's opinions and disagree anymore. Everything's a fight and a war. Nothing's really a discussion, but that's just the way it is. So to me, that actually blew up and was a big deal this past week. And I really don't understand why. Well, I do, but really, should it be a big deal? In my opinion, no. And that's all I got to say about that. Now, the last thing I want to show you is Canada, when it comes to crime, is an absolute mess at this point. Okay. I'm going to share my screen again with you just to show you some videos that have been popping up on X. But I want to show you some things and then I'll discuss it after with you. Excuse me, folks. Let's get off her page. Still battling a little illness right now, but, feeling a bit better. Struggling, but doing my thing here, folks. Let's go back here. Let's go home. Let's go to DJ Academics. No. How am I going here, folks? Let me find the page for you here quickly, because we're going to be getting into the crime and the crime statistics here. Okay. All right, let's get into this here. Share screen with you. Let's go back to X. Let's do it here.
Jewelry stores. They are on the rise across southern Ontario.
Well, police have released these photos of the 4 masked suspects in Friday's robbery, armed with hammers and noxious gas. Detectives are asking for the public's help.
Ten suspects can be seen smashing the windows of a jewelry store inside Markville Mall. 2 of the suspects are seen using hammers to break into the store and smash display cases, while other suspects are seen stealing items.
This is the second time, actually, I was witnessing the same jewelry store that they attacked. I felt like I cannot explain that. Am I really seeing this?
It's the second smash and grab robbery in York Region this week. On Monday afternoon, 4 suspects robbed the People's Jewelry store at Hillcrest Mall.
In late November, thieves ransacked the store, making off with $200,000 worth of diamonds in just 25 seconds. The store owner's son was inside and says after, police weren't much help.
You see there is no consequences to your actions, and you can just break in, make money, and it's just so easy. Of course, they're going to come back again and do it.
Reason. Guns treated like toys and lives treated as afterthoughts. This was a group of individuals who seemed alarmingly comfortable, not only carrying illegal firearms, but also treating them like props at a party. What started as reckless posturing escalated into chaos. They began to fire back at a rival gang, wildly spraying bullets into the street without any regard for human life. The task force has arrested 14 additional suspects and laid over 100 new charges. It's shocking behavior that underscores the danger these individuals pose in our communities. About 8 were out on bail at the time they were arrested. Many are still in custody and some have been released. All the handguns were legal and they have all traced to the United States. What you'll see in this video, it's
He tried to escape. Armed Toronto police officers arrested a man after he tried to escape in a stolen Hummer.
like literally out of a movie, like cars sprinting down and then the Hummer comes down and then they're ramming into the police. It was just insane.
The incident happened around 10:15 last night. Several police cruisers surrounded the driver before he was tased and dragged out of the car. Investigators say the 32-year-old man was out on bail after being arrested in connection with another police pursuit involving a stolen vehicle. He faces 8 charges, including assaulting a peace officer and breaching bail conditions.
Okay. Let's stop this. So the crime and the shootings in Toronto right now, I'll just say the GTA period, increased by 45%. Gun-related homicides up 62%. Why is it that when you have a prime minister and the most popular city in your country is going to shit, he says absolutely nothing? And is it just on him? No, it's not. It's also up to the premier, members of parliament. But why is it that they're just so silent about it and it's such a big issue? Well, as you can see, a lot of the people who commit crimes, if they commit the crime in the morning, they're on bail for dinner. Pretty much for anything at this point. It's an absolute joke. The Toronto police can't keep up at this point. There's no police anywhere that can keep up. You bring in 5 million extra people in a very small period of time, and you don't have a police force that can keep up with all of these different crimes happening. It's not possible. So, I mean, you're not going to have a government that's going to take the blame for it. You're not. So what are you going to say? What do you even do at this point? I'm not even sure anything can be done. It's too far gone. How do you fix it? And every other day, or maybe every day at this point, another jewelry store is getting broken into and destroyed. It's so easy at this point. It really is. I mean, why would they not do it if they know that even if they get caught, they're going to be put on bail and probably still get away with it anyway? Nobody has any fear. It's Gotham City at this point. It's Gotham City. Nobody gives a damn. They're all saying, well, they're just going to give us a slap on the wrist anyway. So let's just do it, because even if we get caught, ain't nothing going to happen regardless. It's ridiculous. You see all these kids out here shooting at each other. First of all, where the hell are these kids' fathers? Seriously. This is a serious question. Where the hell are they? The only excuse or reason that I want to hear is that maybe deceased. But if that ain't the case, then where the hell are these kids' fathers? That's a problem. And we're going to have to figure something out here. My community. Because something needs to be done. We're going to have to fix it ourselves. Who else are you going to blame it on? This is a serious problem. And something is going to happen, man, because this is outrageous. And it can't continue like this, man. Folks, if you enjoyed today's topics, please take a moment to follow, subscribe, like, and share the podcast. Your feedback is always welcome, and it helps me reach more people just like you who are passionate about these topics. Don't forget to connect with me on social media. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can find me at Mike Roach 7 on IG, on X at Mike Roach 23, the one Mike Roach on TikTok. And remember to check out my recent videos for more engaging content. You can listen to me anytime as well on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Until next time, folks, your boy Mike, and I'm out.